West Audio 500 series, an honest audio gear review. Now, the 500 series West Audio gear is phenomenally good. The one thing that I find is the best thing about it is it obviously the digital recall aspect is really good. That's really exceptional with all the West Audio 500 series that really puts it into a kind of a ballpark of its own. It's in its own kind of space. There's nothing really on the market in 500 series that competes with their range of what they have. They've got EQs, Pultec style EQ, four band parametric EQ, compressors. You've got a Varimu compressor, 1176 style compressor, VCA kind of Dione compressor, and then they've got the multiband VCA compressor. There's not many other companies that have that range of 500 series, let alone digitally recallable 500 series. Now, the really good thing about the recall aspect of it is with West Audio, you have the Titan racks. Now, the logical thing to do is if you are buying West Audio gear, buy the Titan rack. The Titan rack, the good thing about it is it's an exceptional rack in itself. The rack is really good. I've not had any issues with the rack at all. The really good thing with the rack is one cable connection for the digital recall, and that will recall all the units that are in your rack. So you can put other modules in the rack, but obviously they haven't got digital recall, so they won't recall. The Titan rack fit 5 modules, 5 stereo modules, or 10. It's 10 slot rack. The best thing about it is you've just got that one connection to the computer. So that's one USB cable to the computer rather than having 5 modules in that rack where you've got cables coming out the front. It's nice and discreet, straight out the back. Really good. In terms of the modules, now the thing with the modules is they are probably the most advanced modules in 500 series. When you compare them with what they can do in comparison to all other 500 series modules, there's so much they can do. So if you take the EQ, for instance, now the EQ as a 4-band parametric EQ, you can see them over here, and then I've got 2 over there. With the EQ, you've got mid-side built into it, so you get mid-side as standard. You've got mono left and right, so you can use it as a stereo EQ, or if you want to use it as 2 independent EQs, one for mono, 2 mono EQs, you can just hit the switch and you can select which one you're going to be processing. So you've got that in it, which that's incredible because you still have that stereo EQ, but you have 2 mono EQs as well. You've got obviously the mid-side processing. The other good thing with it is you have THD on every unit, so you can select mid or high amounts of THD. That's really good. Most units have a wet-dry mix. That's really good. On the 4-band parametric EQ, you can bypass each band, so you can, even just little things like that. Every single thing that you could possibly want to do, these units have, and they all sound really good. Now, I'm not personally a fan of using 500 series in mastering, but you could use these in mastering if you really wanted to. I tend to go with the 19-inch rack versions, but for mixing purposes, they are incredibly flexible. They are so flexible in the sense that you can do so much with them. They all feel really good. It's not, they feel expensive. There's quite a lot condensed onto the front panels of these units, but you have, you never feel like there's just too much. The dials are quite small, but you don't feel like you're you're not able to dial in your settings. You've got a ring light around each of the knobs where you can see how far you're going. Another good thing about these sorts of units that other units don't have is you've got plus 5 dB on the EQs. So you've got plus 5 dB, or you can select plus 15 dB. Now that is something that's really beneficial, because sometimes, look, if you were using it in the mastering setting, you might not want to go plus 15 dB. You'll only want to use plus 5 dB range. Having the option to switch between them is really good, and having that ability to just change from plus 5 to plus 15 is great, and it's a really nice option to have. Now, one thing that all of the 500 series units have is an A/B. Now, what this is you can dial in your settings on preset A, let's call it. Dial in your settings. You go, right, there's my settings. That's what I want to do. Then you can copy that to B, and then you can make some changes, and you can audition between A to B and see if the changes you've made are beneficial changes. But you can use that, so you can set up two different EQ types on one EQ and switch between them and decide which one you want to use. The plugins are really, really intuitive. They're really well designed. They've just recently brought out some new designs for the EQ. The compressor has a redesign on the plugin. Now, they look great. They look like you're using a high-end GUI. If you want to use the plugin rather than using the hardware, you can use the plugin to then control the hardware. And it looks really good. And you can do everything that you can do on the hardware, you can do in the plugin, and everything you can do in the plugin, you can do on the hardware. The only time that isn't a factor is they've added into this unit over here, the Vari-Mu, the rear, they've added saturation to it. Now, I've not found a way, but I don't know if there is. You can now apply saturation, but the saturation control is done more in the plugin. So you use more of the plugin to control the hardware, and it's not so much you can do the saturation. You can do a lot of the control. The controls are the same, but the actual activating the saturation, I haven't found a way to activate that. Overall, the West Audio 500 series gear is incredibly good. I've not found a range of 500 series gear that is in the same realm as West Audio. Now, the thing with it is they're not cheap. They're around £1,200 for a stereo module, but you are getting a lot with that. You're getting the mid side, you're getting dual mono, you're getting plus 5, plus 15 dB gain, you're getting digital recall, you're getting saturation as well. There's a lot you're getting with it. So they are expensive modules, but they are incredibly versatile modules. And that's the one thing I would say about the West Audio gear. In the 500 series racks, you are getting so much for your money. Now, if I was spending £1,300 and I didn't have any of those features and it was just a 4-band parametric EQ, I'd kind of be like, well, this should be down by the Elysia X filter pricing, around $699. But because you're getting all of these features with it, just the digital recall alone, that makes it worth that little bit more, because what the digital recall is doing is it's giving you that recall. And some people might not want it, some people might not need it, but you have it there. It's giving you the ability to recall all your analog settings via the plugin from within your DAW. So when you open up that session, everything is recalled. Now, I've got probably, 20 units behind me, 500 series West Audio, and I can open a session and they just instant bang, every single one of those EQs. I haven't got to touch them. They literally just instantly recall. And that to me, that for workflow purposes alone, it's so much faster. It's ridiculous how good the workflow is when using the West Audio gear. So look, my honest gear review, I have not got a bad thing to say about the West Audio 500 series units. I really don't. Would very much struggle to find something bad to say about them because everything about them is exceptional, and that's why I've bought so much of it. And I mean, it's a huge investment to fit five. I mean, each rack behind me, each of those 500 series Titan racks are probably about six to £7,000. It's a huge investment, but highly worthwhile investment because my workflow is simpler. I'm getting a better sound. Each of these modules sounds incredible, and yeah, that is my honest audio gear review on the West Audio 500 series modules.